All right, so thanks again for you guys for joining us today. We're really excited to show you our PowerPoint integration today and how you can create an engaging presentation. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Andrew. Thanks for being here. We're very excited to be taking you through the Engaging PowerPoint Presentations webinar. We are both from the Customer Care and Education team. Like I said, we already have our colleague Yana joining us to help with the Zoom chat and our colleague Adrian in the Slido event. And throughout this webinar, we'll be using the PowerPoint integration as we present.
Right, so 2020, as everybody knows, has been quite an interesting year and everything has changed, the way we work, the way we interact with each other, but online presentations are pretty much here to stay. So we want to make sure that your presentations aren't just a one-way street, that they're actually engaging. So why would somebody want to attend your online webinar meeting or whatever you might be having if they can just watch a recorded video on their own time? Or even worse, the whole thing could have just been in an email.
Right, imagine that, a meeting that you've spent so long planning and it could have just been a simple email. So you need to give your participants a reason to show up for the live event. You don't want them just skipping the meeting and watching a recording. So give them opportunities they wouldn't normally have, and then they'll show up for the live session. So we want to get your perspective on how you feel about it. And we want to know how you would rate the quality of audience interaction when you attend online events. So like we say, that's the big deal these days. It's all virtual events. How engaged do you feel when you're joining them? Oh, nice.
Oh, kind of across the board. So some people have their game on for these online events, but some people might be lacking a little.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe if we asked this question back in March or April, it would be a very different spread of results, I think.
Right,
but
yeah.
People are kind of getting used to it a little bit, seeing it as the new normal, kind of.
That's for sure. Awesome. So we have about a 3 here.
Nice. And look,
So
we have over 80 votes already on the poll. So people are here.
Nice.
They're turning up. They're voting in the Slido event. This is good.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys. Cool. So as you can see, interaction can be difficult in these online sort of setups, but it's more important than ever. So some of us don't have that option of actually meeting face-to-face, like Andrew and I don't ever get to see face-to-face, but we want to find ways that we can actually adapt and new ways to connect with each other.
Right. And we did meet face-to-face once back in January when you were joining Slido, and that was fun. But ever since then, it's just been asynchronous virtual meetings, but we're still good buds. So during the webinar, we want to show you how you can ramp up your audience interaction and really get that engagement that you may be lacking from, it not being a real life event. So with these meetings, it's essential to create a safe space for your attendees. You can address their queries live, or maybe it's just that simple human interaction that they miss being in these weird socially distant times.
Right. So to sum it up, it's definitely a very weird time right now for everybody. Keeping with that theme, what's the weirdest thing that you've done during a webinar or an online meeting?
Wow. What a great question, Kristen.
Yeah.
And we have some lovely pre-filled options that you can select here.
Wow. So we have someone doing most of all of these.
Right.
Drank some beer.
Yeah.
Nice.
A good one. What about you, Kristen? Have you done any of these? Or a few?
I have. I don't think
maybe
I've
you've
ever walked my.
Maybe you've. Yeah, I was gonna say that you have.
I would have thought
dogs.
I would have, but I haven't walked my dog. I think we mentioned this before. I've actually been driving, but not watching, like just the sound of it and like my videos off. I've had it in my car, like while I'm driving, listening to a meeting.
Right. I feel like I've probably wanted to like jump in the shower at some point during a meeting,
No.
but never really trusted myself, never wanted the camera to just automatically somehow turn on and.
Or your luck, they would be like, right. They'd be like, right, Andrew? And you'd be like,
yeah, exactly. You're like, like reaching for the unmute button to try and say something in time.
Right. Yeah. So most of it's you don't want to know. So if you want to slide it in the Q&A or the chat, I'm just kidding. You can let us know.
Slide it in the Zoom chat.
Or in our survey, maybe anonymously.
Yeah, right. Let us know at the end. We'd love to know.
So awesome. That's cool. So thank you guys for sharing. So here is a look at today's agenda.
So first up, we'll look at some interaction tips that we're going to share with you. We'll cover specific use cases and see how you can avoid any struggles you might have when you're trying to get people involved in your remote meetings.
And then we'll take a look at the setup and actually show you how you can set this up for yourself using PowerPoint.
Right. And finally, you'll get a chance to ask your questions in a Q&A session at the end. So hopefully most of you have joined our Slido event by now. Just a little reminder of the event code, which is Slido Power. So you can join, and if you think of anything throughout the webinar, just post your questions into there, and we should have at least 10 minutes or more at the end to address your questions.
And no need to take any notes. You'll actually receive a recording with additional resources following the webinar in an email. So to kick us off, we'd like to learn a bit about your experience and what your biggest struggles are when running virtual events and webinars.
Yes, so this could be anything. This is a word cloud poll that we've set up. So literally think off the top of your head or something, what you want to say, and you can put it in there. I'm just seeing in the Zoom chat from Teresa. She says, I'm cooking right now.
Oh, look at
In
her.
reference to the last one. So there you go, cooking away. That's good.
Yeah. We both have internet issues, so that can be our issue sometimes.
That's true, but not
luckily,
today. It's not going to happen.
I was going to say, luckily today we're so far so good.
Yeah, it's going pretty well. I have problems with a small child that will run into, well, I was going to say my office, but I don't really have an office. I'm working from home. I just kind of work from where I can. So yeah, that can be, but he's pretty cute. So that makes up for it.
He is cute. He can come into the meetings anytime.
You don't mind when he crashes our meetings, right?
Not at all.
So, wow, we've got so many answers here. The big ones, the big hitter right in the middle is technology. So yeah, it can be overwhelming. Different technology, different apps, a lot of things may be going on at the same time. And then engagement is also joint on the top there. So yeah, that's the big thing that we're here to discuss. How to engage people.
My husband, that can be a struggle.
Right. I'm sure my wife also feels that way.
My kids showing up. Yep. I agree with a lot of these things for sure.
Everyone's in close proximity with their families and their partners now because we're all staying at home and we're trying to work and do our normal lives at the same time. It's pretty nuts.
Right. Yep.
And look, we have a lot of stuff here just in terms of switching. So like switching screens, switching windows or apps. And well, you came to the right place. We're going to preach about it. We've got the Slido for PowerPoint integration. And yeah, it's pretty good. You don't need to switch that much.
Not at all. So this integration is like my best friend. I love doing webinars with these now.
Right. It's so good. So yeah, too many apps to manage, too many tools, Wi-Fi. Someone said silence. Maybe they mean like the lack of silence, I guess.
Yeah. And talking to my laptop. I get that talking to my laptop one too. Like it feels like you're just chatting to yourself in your room or something.
Exactly. We have each other right now for this one, which is good.
It does help. That does help.
We're presenting on our own and it's screaming into a black hole.
Right. Awesome. So let's go ahead. 90 people joined. So awesome. Thank you guys. So in case you didn't know, around 30 million PowerPoint presentations are created every day. So it comes as no surprise that our integration has been one of the most requested ones. We're actually using, like we mentioned, the Slido for PowerPoint today. So all of the polls you've seen pop up so far have been put in directly from the integration in the PowerPoint. So you can see how we do that in just a little bit. It is currently only available for Windows, however, which brings us to this question. Which operating system do you use?
Let's get a good idea of what computers you're using. So you can select from some of these options. And yeah, a lot of results already. Windows is coming out on top.
Nice.
Great. And we have a few Mac OS users. So we do have some options if you're using Mac that we'll be able to look at as well.
Right. Perfect.
All
Cool.
right, almost 100 votes on the poll, and the top result is Windows. So that's perfect. So yeah, like Kristen says, it was a very heavily requested feature that we had, and we've been working on this for a very long time, and we wanted to make sure we got it right. So we're super excited that it is, and it's finally here. So like we said, it's available. It works with Windows 7 or later, and with PowerPoint 2010 or later. Or 2020, maybe it works with that too.
Yeah, maybe.
So basically, when you want to download the integration, you can get that directly from our website at slido.com/PowerPoint. It is totally free to download. It works with all Slido plans. And yeah, once you download it, install it on your computer, it's ready to go in your PowerPoint. And we're going to show you more on that very soon when we get to our setup section.
But we do have those options for you Mac users and non-PowerPoint people. You can check out our integration with Google Slides as well as our Slido Switcher app.
Right, so once you see how the PowerPoint integration works today, you'll see that it works very similarly to the Google Slides. It's just an add-on that you can download, and Switcher is an app we developed, which lets you switch between Slido, showing the present mode, and whatever else is on your screen.
So before we get into that, we want to share some tried and tested interaction tips to make your presentations more engaging.
Right, so here we go with our tips and tricks. And let's imagine you're at the start of your meeting and you want to kick things off. You want to avoid any sort of awkward small talk. Maybe you need a buffer. So with a Slido poll at the start, this can be an interactive and visual aid. And you can have something lighthearted or humorous, like here asking about whether you're wearing pants or not. Classic joke in relation to joining, not seeing what's underneath. Or if you want to learn a little bit about your audience, like we did at the start, we were asking you where you were joining from. So on our next point, Kristen has more on that.
Yep, so you can take some time to actually learn more about your audience, learn about their challenges, and this can be kind of crucial for specific meetings so you can actually deliver the valuable content that caters to what they're needing. Or if you don't even know who your attendees are, you can use a poll to get those helpful insights. So we would like to know, what is your role? So this sort of poll can give us a better idea of what types of people are joining our webinar, so we actually know what to focus on and who to cater to.
Yeah, exactly. We're super excited to have so many people joining us on the webinar, and a poll like this is like the icing on top. It just gives us that idea of, what you're up to and why you're here and you're interested in Slido.
I got a lot of teachers here today. Oh, event organizers and teachers.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Webinar hosts also. Nice.
A few executive and team leads here. Nice.
Cool. Yeah, everyone is represented, so that's good to know. And secondly, we want to know what type of events you're planning. So if you could let us know, there are a few options here. Maybe a couple of those apply to you, so feel free. You can actually select multiple options. And yeah, just as we're going through the webinar, we'll know what kind of use cases you're wanting to use Slido for. We can understand maybe why the Slido for PowerPoint integration is good for you.
Right. Lots of webinar. Cool.
Yeah,
so you can
for a webinar.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys will learn a few new tips you didn't already know for your webinars and your meetings.
And you're seeing it live in front of you. What better than that?
Awesome.
Nice. It's great for us to see this on the screen. So thanks everyone for sharing.
Cool.
So imagine you're a bit further through your presentation and you want to bring up a new strategy or an objective, and you're wondering if everything is clear, if everyone's on the same page. Well, you don't have to wonder anymore. You can simply ask them. So you can use a rating poll, and this way you can check with your participants to see if they understand what you're presenting. And that's happening in real time. Like, it's super valuable, like we say, for like a webinar like this, where you can't see people's faces. Maybe if you are a teacher and you're hosting a class online or a training, it's really valuable for that. So basically, if you see any areas that identify that need further explanation, you can cater to that need right there and then.
So we would love to know if we are actually doing a decent job so far. So we're going to ask you, How engaged are you feeling?
The big question. We hope we're doing an okay job. We hope you're learning something at least.
Nice, nice. Oh, we have some 2s and 3s. You
Oh,
know,
that's
we
okay.
can always improve. We're happy to have that feedback.
It's good for you to be honest.
Right?
If you're waiting for the PowerPoint integration stuff, it's coming very, very soon.
Right. Yep. It's almost here.
Yeah, but that's okay. You know, we'll take that. That's not a bad average, 7.7.
Exactly what I was going to say. Not too bad. Like I mentioned, I've always been an average student, so I'll take it.
So anything mid or above, you're pretty happy with.
Exactly. So cool. Thank you guys again for sharing. So moving on to more tips here. You can use a quiz to create a fun learning experience or to test your participants' knowledge on your topic. So for example, at Slido, we like to use quizzes to test our team's product knowledge to make sure everybody is on the same page and we know kind of what's happening with our updates. Or you can just create a fun trivia quiz or just a fun quiz to kind of motivate people with prize or something. So let's try out our quiz. We're going to have our first question here. First, you'll need to join with your name.
So yeah, maybe if you're not feeling that engaged, maybe a little quick quiz is going to do the trick for you.
Tasha, Tommy, oh, lots of people. Molly,
Get a bit
Lottie.
of competitive spirit going in the room. All right, and people are up for it. We got lots of people joining. Wow. Oh, nice.
Give them some time to join. I know we had like close to 100 votes on the last one, so we'll wait a bit. Wait a second.
Let's see if we can do it. Get to those 3 figures. Oh, we're so close.
100. Oh, come on.
And this is where we're going to wait for like 2 minutes just for one person to join.
There we go.
101 Dalmatians.
Awesome. That's perfect.
Cool.
Okay.
So let's kick it off.
Yeah.
You can still join while we activate the first question. So question number 1 of 2, we want to know what percentage of participants on a conference call are less likely to multitask with their camera on. So maybe their camera's on and they're going to behave themselves. Maybe when it's off, they're going to multitask. So what do you think the percentage would be?
Let's see.
Have a look at those numbers. Think about it. You've got the time it takes until we get to 100 votes. And then we'll have a look at how you voted.
I can actually show the results. It won't lock until the next.
Oh, it'll lock.
Oh, okay.
It'll lock when you show results.
Okay.
But look, we're well over 100.
Perfect. We'll go ahead.
Let's have a look. Yeah.
So the results are in. So you guys think it's 63%, most of you. And our correct answer is 82%. So thank you again for voting. And we will come back to the quiz in just a little bit.
Right. So there you go. 82%. That just shows you that it's so much easier to be distracted or multitask in these online meetings. Just put your video off and you can just not really pay attention. So there you go.
Hopefully everyone's paying attention. The truth.
Right. I hope so. I hope so. So we come to the final tip that we want to share with you, which is based on collecting and addressing questions. And it's like what we said at the beginning. It shouldn't be solely about you when you're presenting. It's not a one-way street. So you should be considering your audience and your community.
And with Q&A sessions, you have a unique opportunity to really connect with the people that you're engaging with and dive deep into those topics that they actually care about. But it's important that you do it right. So the last 5 Q&A tips we have for you on the next slide we'd like to share are the following.
Right, so here they are. So first of all, you can put your own questions into your Slido event in advance, especially maybe you're using Slido for the first time and you don't know if people are going to put in questions. Maybe they're too shy to submit. So if you have your own backup questions, it's a great way to get the ball rolling. And tip number 2 is in a similar vein. So if you collect participant questions in advance, all you need to do is share the event code with them so they can access the Slido event before your meeting, or you can share a direct link to the event and they'll pop in their questions. You know that there's some there beforehand. You can even have a look at those and go over any answers you want to prepare so you're not caught off guard when you're presenting live.
Yep, and for 3 through 5, you want to give attendees time to think and submit their questions. Encourage them to upvote so you don't have repetitive questions coming in and you can really focus on the more popular questions. Make sure you're kind of comfortable with silence. Obviously, there's not much interaction other than me and Andrew, or if they're typing in questions in a real meeting, they're going to be thinking of those questions. So be comfortable with silence. And then lastly, have a moderator who can be checking your questions, moderating them, like approving, dismissing, and reading them aloud as well. So if you have any questions, just as a reminder, please feel free to submit them to our event. Our event code here is PowerUp if you go to slido.com. So now that we've given you some tips on when and why to use these engagement tools, let's actually show you how you can actually set this up. So what you've probably all been waiting for here. I'm going to exit my presentation here. I do just want to mention when you download the integration, you can go to slido.com/PowerPoint. And when you download it, if you're already in PowerPoint, you're probably going to have to exit completely and reopen it in order for it to load the Slido app properly. So once it's loaded, where you're going to find this app is going to be here on the Home tab. So if you click this tab here, and you can see the little button there. Once you click here, it's going to pop up this sidebar on the right side. So you can see that when you actually open up the sidebar, you'll go into your event and then you'll see these options. So first you'll have to select your event that you want to be connected to your presentation, or you can create the polls off the spot right here, like on the spot, I guess is what I should say. So yeah, first we will add our Q&A slide. So we're actually going to add some slides right now that will be at the end of the presentation today. So you can see how this works. So I'm going to scroll to the end. And you can see the Q&As here. We also have add a live poll and add a quiz. So what I'm going to do here is add our Q&A slide to the end of our presentation. And how this is going to work is the slide that I'm currently on, basically whatever I insert from the sidebar over here is going to come, that poll or that slide poll for Slido is going to come directly under it. So if I click this Q&A slide, it pops in right down here underneath. So awesome. I see some questions already. Thanks, guys. And then we're going to add two other things here. So first one's going to be, we're going to add a live poll. And we're going to ask you guys a bit later an open text question. Oh no, this one's going to be, no, that's an open text one. I was thinking it was a rating. So how do you engage your audience? And I'm going to save here. And you should see this pop in directly under over here. And I know I need to move this one. This needs to actually be, I believe, here under this slide 40, because I know where it should be. And then we have a feedback survey that we're going to add. So I'm going to add another interaction here, or with this plus button here, there's the same thing. So I'll click that, add live poll, and this time I'm going to select a survey. So this, you can see here all the options as well. So you can do any of those options. For this, we're going to go ahead and set up our survey for the feedback at the end. So let's click the survey.
Right, so we're going to set this up, and feedback's pretty essential for us at Slido. It's another top tip that we like to hammer home with people, that it's always great to improve and get insights from your participants during your event. So we're going to set up this survey, which is a combination of a few different polls that Kristen is setting up right now. We've got some multiple choice polls. We're going to have a rating poll, which will ask you how you rate the webinar. We'll ask for any other comments or suggestions that you have for us. And then we're going to put that into the end of the presentation and activate that for you. So you can see how easy it is to add these interactions just through the sidebar with the integration. And then once you go back into your PowerPoint presentation and you're presenting live, as you go through these and you get to the Slido polls or the surveys, they pop up live and people can see the results on the screen. Of course, you'll still need, as a participant, to join the Slido event like you have all done today. So by going to slido.com, and our event code is Slido Power. So whatever your event code may be, your participants will type in and join. They can put in their questions to the Q&A. They can put in their votes to the polls and the surveys. And when you're presenting, they will automatically show up live.
Right. And one thing just to mention here, so we can show you how this actually works here, is for this feedback survey, we actually don't want this to show the results when we get to this part of the presentation. So we're going to change this from show on click to do not show. So we can still see this in the admin, and we can still see this when we're the survey information, but we don't want this to show when we go to this section of it. So we're going to click do not show here. So that is how you can change your little options to show here. And then just to move here to the settings, if you click here, you'll see you have a few options. You can switch session if you have another event already set up that you want to connect to it. You can reset the current session, which is going to clear all the results that have been put in by previous participants. And then the last thing we probably want to show here is if you want to add a collaborator, you can get to your settings and add the collaborator from here. So I'm going to click the settings here. So if you have somebody who's helping you manage questions, helping you with your event, that's going to pop up the admin. I'll drag that up here for you. And now you can see it takes us directly to the settings. And then if you go to the share access button here, let me scroll down a little bit. We're going to invite a colleague here. And we'll just click that and click invite. And what's going to happen when this is sent, he'll get an email. He'll be able to create credentials if he doesn't already have a Slido account, and he'll have access to our event, just the one event that we've invited him to. So that is that.
So when you're inviting your collaborators to your Slido event, that means they can help and get the access to the Slido event, and they'll also need the access to your PowerPoint presentation if you want them to present the whole thing. So there we go. Thanks for the demo, Kristen. So just a little wrap up on that. The first step is, of course, to install the integration from slido.com/PowerPoint, and you'll see it appear in the PowerPoint menu, and you can use the sidebar. And then you can create the polls and quizzes directly there if you want, or use an old event from your Slido account, and then insert them directly into your slides. And finally, you ask people to vote. As I said, they can join from their devices with your event code or with the Slido link, and they don't need to download any app or anything, and the results will show seamlessly while you're presenting your PowerPoint.
Yeah, so we're actually coming to the end of our webinar, but we don't want to forget about our quiz. So we have our second quiz question.
Yes, we know you were all on the edge of your seats thinking, when is the second?
Oh, can you still hear me?
I can hear you, Kristen. I'm ready for you to deliver quiz question number 2 when you're ready.
Cool. My internet, like we talked about, was messing up. So what do you guys think Slido for PowerPoint can be used for? Adding quizzes, Q&A, running polls as a unique way to propose to someone, or adding a feedback survey.
What an interesting option 4 there. You can see.
It is an interesting one.
One could argue that it's technically true.
Right?
It certainly wasn't in our tips and tricks, but could be nice. So think about it. You can select multiple options here. Maybe a few of them are correct. Maybe all of them are correct.
Maybe.
What do you think? Is it the true 2020 way to propose to your loved one?
It could be.
Virtually, maybe you're both quarantining away from each other and you actually can't even see each other. So it has to be done through your computer. Why not Slido for PowerPoint?
We had a good idea last time where you can make it a quiz, and the last question, will you marry me, yes or no? And yes would be the correct answer, hopefully.
Yeah, it has a good build up. You can do a whole quiz and then the last question. Nice.
Cool.
I
So
like it.
I think that is, well, let's move on here. So we have our results in, and our
Okay.
correct answers are, technically all of them are correct. You can use Slido to propose to someone if you would like. That would just be a fun, unique way to do that, huh?
Yeah, and let us know if you do.
That'd be a good story.
It would, yeah. Nice use case for Slido. So it is technically true. So all of the answers are correct. So let's hope that some people at least selected all of these. We're coming to the moment of truth where we reveal our leaderboard. Adrian is the winner.
Adrian. David,
Very
number 2.
nice.
Top 5. Good job, everybody.
Great. Yeah, well done to all in the top 5. And you all got all the answers correctly, as you can see. And wow, Adrian was fast. Overall, he took only
Super
8
fast.
seconds to answer those 2 questions. So good job.
Right. So if you didn't notice, that's how it ranks you. So it'll be by correct answer and then by the fastest votes.
Right. So
cool.
Nice. So yeah, we're coming to the end of the webinar. So as we wrap up, we'll just look at a recap of the tips and tricks that we were sharing with you. So before, you can download the Slido for PowerPoint integration and get your presentation set up. And like we said, you can put in your own questions or collect them from the participants beforehand by sending them the link or giving them the event code. And this way you can avoid any awkward moments during the presentation.
Right. And to make sure you are using your interaction points throughout your presentation, remember to break the ice at the beginning of your session. Try to learn a little bit more about your audience by interacting with them, and check for understanding with rating polls or a quiz. So before we move to the Q&A, we want some inspiration from you. We don't all know it, so we'd love to know, no, we don't know it all, I mean. So we would love to know, how do you engage your audience?
Yes, the sneaky little poll that we put in when we were showing you how the integration works. So maybe you were ready for it to come back up, maybe not. So let us know if you have any true pieces of wisdom.
Oh, I love it. Slido for Q&A.
Teacher's pet is trying to say Slido, but it's good. I'll take it.
Humor.
Another Slido in there.
Asking them. Here, I can scroll down to see some more of these.
Oh, nice.
Use Slido for PowerPoint. You guys are killing it. Polls.
Yep. Sing a song. That's a good one. Humor.
Guess the pictures. I love it. Waffles or pancakes. That is a good icebreaker.
That's a good one. Let's answer it. I would say waffles.
I would too. I like waffles better, I think.
Nice.
If I had to choose.
Oh, you have to pick. It's a Slido icebreaker. It's very important, Kristen.
It is. Asking them to marry you. Yes, taking our advice.
Ah, yes. Someone knows the deal. And someone said 2 lies and a truth, which is a good one that we use in Slido as well. Or 2 truths, 1 lie, whatever way it is. It's a good
virtual
icebreaker.
bingo. I like virtual bingo. That's a good one. Custom notebooks. Oh, that's cute. Custom notebooks. I like that.
That sums it up. Slido and jokes. That's all you need. Slido and jokes.
That's all. Pretty much.
Works for me.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for sharing. So now that we have your secrets and you have all of our insider secrets, we want to practice what we preach. So take 60 seconds to think of some of your questions, and we can wrap up today's session with your remaining questions.
Yes. Oh, wow.
So we already got some questions coming in here.
Take some time to even look through other people's questions, and you can upvote the ones that you like, and they will be pushed to the top. So we'll try to answer as many questions as we can today. We have a bit of time, and we'll look at the most popular ones first.
Right. And if we don't get to your question, don't worry, you will get the responses in the email, and it'll also come in the app as well.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we'll try to reply in the Slido app to as many questions as we can, and then we'll send you a document with all the follow-up questions that we didn't get to.
Cool. So just to show you kind of a few options you can do here as the presenter, you can actually, I'm going to highlight and mark as answered directly from this view, so I can manage the questions a little bit for myself here too. So we can see the most upvoted questions. That's how it's going to show on the screen here, is the most upvoted is going to come to the top. So we can see this first question here, which I guess we can go ahead and address. I'll go ahead and highlight this with the little button here. And Anonymous is asking, is there a way to lock the Slido QR code in the window for those that are late signing on?
Okay, well, that's a really good question. The QR code will only show when you have your Slido slides coming up, but you could actually download the QR code from your Slido event, or even take a screenshot of that, and you could have it on your other slides if you wanted. Same thing with the event code. So you can take your event code or download the QR code, put it on all your slides throughout the PowerPoint. So in that way, it is pinned.
Exactly. So now I can actually mark this as answered. And this should go off the screen. Okay.
Cool. So we'll take a look at this question. Does the integration work if someone else is sharing the PowerPoint? For example, can I control Slido polls and someone else screen shares the presentation?
I have to think about that. So if they are controlling Slido polls and someone else's, if you're using a PowerPoint integration, it's going to pop up as you get to that slide. I think having someone in the back end would be a little bit tricky. I probably wouldn't recommend having somebody in the admin control the polls, because it's going to just activate as you go through the polls, as you go through your presentation.
Yeah, it wouldn't really work in the way that you've described it. Basically, if you wanted someone else to have the PowerPoint, they'd need access to the PowerPoint presentation, and they'd also need to share access as a guest to your Slido event, so it all runs smoothly as they present.
Right. So it could work if they were the one just doing the presentation and you were speaking like that way, but not having, I wouldn't recommend like having you share your screen and someone else manage it. So.
Yeah, basically whoever's sharing the PowerPoint should have the access to the Slido as well, so that it pops up as they go. That's the idea of the integration, that it's seamless.
All right, so next question, are we able to use a company specific PowerPoint template?
Yeah, so if you want to put your own customizations on your Slido event, with the paid plans from professional and upwards, you can put your own custom logos in there. You can put custom colors, or like a background image with company specific templates. So you can do that. And it's mostly done through the Slido admin on our website when you click into the settings.
Yep, exactly. So the colors we have here were customized. So you could change the highlight color, the background color, or the background itself.
Yeah. So next one we have from Mary. Do you need to have a license to build integrated slides, or is that just needed to actually manage the event?
Do you need to have a license to build integrated slides? So to use the integration itself, you can do it with a free plan if that's the question.
Yeah, it works with all of our plans. Yeah, you can download the integration and have your Slido event, even if it's a free basic one. You can integrate.
Right. Yep. So you just need to have a Slido account. And like we showed earlier, you log in, you would download the word. What am I saying? You would download the add-on.
Use your words, Kristen.
You would download the add-on, and then once you sign in on the add-on, you would be able to create those slides and show them. So as long as you have a Slido account, you should be good.
Nice. Wow, I'm just seeing that we have over 50 questions. So keep upvoting the questions that you want to see answered. We'll take another 5 minutes in answering these. So yeah, really upvote the ones that you want to see answered live, and we'll take a look into those. So go ahead, Kristen.
Awesome. So someone is asking, could you clarify, is what we're seeing on your screen exactly what we could get in the PowerPoint, or are you running something different? So you saw us create this Q&A slide directly in our PowerPoint. So slide deck. So basically exactly what you're seeing. There's nothing else we're switching. We're not doing anything else. I literally opened up my PowerPoint and I am like in present mode. So there's nothing else running other than our Zoom. Like we have nothing else going on, which is what I love about this integration. It makes it so seamless and really easy to use, as opposed to having to switch your screens or like swap from one thing to another. It's super easy.
Yeah, what you see is what you get. We're just
Mhm.
sharing our screen with PowerPoint with a Slido integration. That's it. So are there plans for emoji support greater than 8-bit?
I love
Nice. And
those
there's some,
emojis.
yeah, there's some nice little 8-bit emojis. We're not sure, but we'll put that request forward. We know sometimes people want to use emojis and it's not available. So thanks for the request, Mike, and we'll make sure that it doesn't fall on deaf ears.
Definitely. All right, and Kelsey asks, can you hide the number of participants on quizzes and polls? Yes, you can. In the settings, right? You can go into the settings and hide the vote counter.
Yeah, it's not something I think you can do in the Slido for PowerPoint sidebar, but if you just go to the main Slido settings, go to your features and polls, then you can hide the vote counter.
Exactly.
Next question for you, Kristen. Is there a plan to have this for Macs?
There is no specific timeline. I hope in the future this is something we are going to focus on, but as of right now, there's no specific timeline. We're really focusing on making it great for our initial Windows users.
Yeah, we
But
have a
you can
lot of Mac
also,
users in Slido who really
yeah,
want
and
that. So
right, yeah, and if you haven't already, check out Google Slides, because it definitely works very similar to this integration. It's super seamless as well. It's directly in your slides there too. So if you have a Mac and you want to use something like this, you can check out Google Slides, our integration for that.
mm-hmm.
All right, so Michaela asks, does the use of Slido and PowerPoint cost anything?
Nope, totally free to download. It works with all our Slido plans, even the basic free one.
Exactly.
Cool. Anonymous question here. If someone else is sharing the slides you created, do they also need to download the integration?
Yes, they do. So
Yes, they
would
do.
need they would need to make sure Slido for PowerPoint is downloaded on their PowerPoint on their desktop, so they can actually sign in. They would need to be a guest in the event to log in and share the screen, and in order for the polls to pop up properly.
And then also have access to your PowerPoint presentation. Those are the 3 steps.
Yes. Yep. All right, so Larry asks, if I want to pass control to another facilitator to take over the PowerPoint via Teams, can the new facilitator take over Slido as well?
Well, thanks for the question, Larry. I mean, this is probably something you'd want to set up prior to doing that live. So you just need to make sure that that facilitator, like we just said, has the share access to the Slido event, has access to your PowerPoint event, and now I'm blanking on the other thing, which was...
Trying to think.
We're both blanking.
Access to the PowerPoint, access as a guest, and downloading the add-on.
Exactly. Yeah, they need to have the integration themselves. And if they have all that, then they'll be able to do it.
Yep. So for Teams, I can't remember exactly, but the way we sometimes do it in Zoom meetings is we let the next facilitator take over control of my screen, and then they can click through their own slides too. So that's another option.
Exactly. So we're kind of running over our time here, but we'll take maybe 3 more questions and then we'll move on.
All right. So Heidi asks, can you add people to be collaborators for all events in one action instead of adding them to each event?
This currently isn't available, Heidi. It's a good idea, but the way it works with the collaborators at the moment, because they are invited as a guest totally for free, it only works per event. So you actually can't have the same person helping with different events at the same time. So you do have to do it one by one, basically.
Was it scrolling weird? Would the user, if she was interested in a plan with additional user, that could help that scenario? But
I think so. If you had paid user seats, then it'll be easier to invite them to all of the events, and they could be helping with all of those at once. But with the free share access, free guests, it's just one event at a time. So question from Grace. We'll take two more. So what are the security features for to keep info private and internal for a company? So, I mean, it's pretty certified in terms of security. As we said, we've been working on this integration for a long time to make sure it meets all the standards. It's available. We've been working with Microsoft to do so. So it's pretty robust in terms of that. If you have any further questions, you can reach out to us at support@slido.com and we can send you anything else to clarify that. But yeah, it's pretty secure.
All right, and Cheryl is our last question. Don't worry, guys, we'll still reply and you'll have those in your email. But Cheryl is asking, can it be used in Teams?
Right, so the PowerPoint integration, if you're sharing your screen in a Teams meeting, then absolutely, it'll work fine. We also do have a Teams integration with Slido that you can find on the Microsoft App Store. And yeah, so you can use either of those options depending on the use case or how you want to use it.
Yeah, so thank you guys for your questions. We'll definitely get back to you in an email, kind of addressing the rest of these as well.
Right. Awesome. So thank you, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing the Slido for PowerPoint in action. And yeah, it doesn't end here. Please test it out if you're using it. And we're going to follow up with an email with the recording and the slides. So that'll hopefully help. So we truly believe that if you use the PowerPoint integration along with our tips that we shared, it'll make a big difference.
For sure. And be sure to check out our blog and our help center if you want some inspiration. We have a lot of use cases and kind of things that can give you some inspiration for your meetings or what to ask or how to use Slido. There's a ton of information on our blog there. And you can check out our help center, the community.slido.com. That is our help center where you can find everything. I feel like it'll answer all your questions. If you have trouble setting up or are not sure how to do something, the community is where you want to go. That's our help center. So definitely feel free to check those resources out for sure.
People saying thank you. So thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, thank you,
Without
guys.
you, it would be nothing at all. So thanks for being here.